Prologue. On the first day of school, Su Yao, the new school belle who had just transferred to the class next door, instantly became the dream girl of every boy in the school with her pure and lovely appearance. But during the break, she suddenly rushed into our classroom and slammed a pink school bag hard on my desk. In front of all our classmates, her eyes were red-rimmed as she questioned me in a choked voice. "Chinyu, after what you did to me yesterday, you think you can just let it go?" The entire classroom instantly erupted, and all sorts of shocked, disdainful gazes focused on me. I met her gaze, the corner of my mouth curling into a cold smirk, and without the slightest hesitation, I took out my phone and dialed the police. "Hello, is this the police? I'm being maliciously slandered and publicly harassed at school. I request your immediate assistance." With a buzz, the clamor in the entire third-year Class 7 classroom instantly froze. Dozens of pairs of eyes, like searchlights, fell on me in unison. Those gazes were a mixture of shock, curiosity, disdain, and a hint of schadenfreude. At the front of the class, the history teacher, who was usually so animated in his lectures, now stood with his mouth agape, the chalk in his hand falling to the floor with a snap and breaking in two. At the center of the storm stood a girl in a white dress. Her name was Su Yao. She had spoken as the new student representative at the opening ceremony. With a first love face and a sweet, soft voice, she had topped the school forum's school bell rankings overnight. At this moment, her face, which was enough to make any boy's heart flutter, was stained with glistening teardrops, her shoulders trembling slightly, looking as if she had suffered the greatest injustice in the world. "Chinyu, how could you do this to me?" The tremble in her voice was just right, carrying both accusation and disbelief. "I just wanted an explanation, and you actually called the police." Her words are like a drop of water falling into hot oil, and the classroom boiled over once again. Damn, what did Chinyu do to the school bell? From the sound of it, it's something serious. I can't believe it. He's usually so quiet. I never thought he was such a beast. Calling the police? He must have a guilty conscience, right? Trying to use the cops to scare her. My desk mate, Zhang Wei, a heavy-set guy weighing 180, nudged me with his elbow and whispered, his face full of anxiety, "Brother, did you really do that to her yesterday?" I ignored the discussions around me, nor did I answer Zhang Wei. My gaze went past Su Yao's tear-streaked face and landed on a boy not far behind her, who was leaning against the doorway with his arms crossed and a faint smile playing on his lips. Wang Hao, our class's PE committee member, and also a rich second-generation kid. The look he gave me was filled with unconcealed contempt and amusement, as if he were admiring a good show that he had personally directed. I understood. Pulling back my gaze, I looked at the call interface on my phone screen and spoke into the receiver. My voice wasn't loud, but it carried clearly throughout the now silent classroom. "Yes, officer. The location is Qing Tong High School, 3rd floor of the 3rd-year building, Class 7. My name is Chinyu. I am being publicly slandered by someone claiming I did something illegal to her yesterday. This has severely damaged my reputation and caused a disturbance in the classroom. Yes, I want to file a formal case." Hanging up, I placed my phone gently on the desk. Throughout the entire process, my hands didn't tremble in the slightest, and my heartbeat was even calmer than usual. Su Yao's face instantly turned deathly pale. She seemed to have never expected me to react this way. According to the normal script, I should be panicking right now, trying to defend myself incoherently, and then suffer a social death amidst the contempt of the entire class. Instead of being like this, calmly hanging the sword of public authority directly over her head. You're insane." Su Yao's voice became shrill, that carefully constructed facade of pitiable helplessness shattering in an instant. "Calling the police over such a small thing? Are you trying to blow this up and ruin me?" "A small thing." I finally spoke, my tone as nonchalant as if I were discussing the weather. "Legally speaking, publicly fabricating facts to slander another person, if the circumstances are serious, can constitute the crime of defamation. Classmate Su Yao, do you think this is a small thing?" My words made Su Yao's body sway. The tears in her eyes this time weren't an act. They were from genuine fear. At the doorway, the smile on Wang Hao's face also froze. He probably never expected that the ant in his eyes, would not only not be crushed under his foot, but would instead reveal its sting. Quiet. Everyone be quiet. The history teacher finally snapped out of it. He rushed over, his face ashen. Chenyu, Su Yao, both of you, come with me to the office. What is this behavior? The college entrance exams are right around the corner. I stood up, picked up my phone from the desk, and said lightly, Sir, there's no need to go to the office. The police will be here soon. Let's settle it right here. I believe the truth is the same no matter where it's told. With that, I pulled out my chair and sat back down under the astonished gazes of the entire class and the history teacher. I even had the leisure to open my math textbook for the next class. I knew the real show was just beginning, and I had enough patience to wait for all the actors to take the stage. The sound of police sirens grew from a distance, finally stopping downstairs from the academic building. The piercing sound was like a sharp blade, completely shattering the tranquility of Greenvine High School. Soon, 2 uniformed police officers, accompanied by the dean of students, appeared at the doorway of Class 7. The dean was a middle-aged man with a receding hairline, his forehead now covered in sweat, constantly bowing and scraping to the police. Officers, it's a misunderstanding, just a small squabble between students. I've already criticized and educated them. The lead officer had a square face and a sharp gaze. He glanced at the situation in the classroom and cut the dean off directly. We received a formal report. A citizen's right to report a crime is sacred and inviolable. Who is the informant? Chun Yu. I raised my hand. I am. The officer walked over, while another, younger officer took out a notepad. Student Chin Yu, you reported that someone publicly slandered you. What are the specific circumstances? The square-faced officer's tone was serious, without any hint of favoritism. I pointed to Su Yao, who was still frozen in place, and calmly stated, this student from the class next door, Su Yao, rushed into our classroom during the break, and, in front of the entire class and the teacher, questioned me about what that kind of thing I did to her yesterday. She didn't specify what it was, but this vague accusation was heard by everyone present and was enough to lead them to form extremely negative and insulting associations about me. I believe this constitutes slander. The square-faced officer nodded, turned to Su Yao, his gaze becoming searching. Student Su Yao, is that correct? What exactly did Student Chin Yu do to you yesterday? Su Yao's lips trembled as she looked pleadingly towards Wang Hao at the door. Wang Hao's face was already extremely grim. He probably wanted to slip away, but didn't dare move in front of the police. He caught Su Yao's gaze. His eyes darted away for a moment, then glared back fiercely, as if warning her not to speak carelessly. This subtle interaction did not escape the veteran officer's eyes. What exactly happened? Speak. The officer's voice rose, carrying an unquestionable authority. Startled by the shout, Su Yao flinched, tears welling up again. Sobbing, she finally managed a complete sentence. Last night, in the alley behind the school, he cornered me and forced me to let him lick my feet. Boom! The sentence was like a bomb detonating in the classroom. Everyone gasped. If the previous accusation was merely ambiguous, this detail was perverted to the extreme. Countless gazes mixed with disgust, contempt, and anger stabbed at me like knives once again. Even Wei Zhongwei looked at me changed, filled with disbelief. He subconsciously shifted his body away, as if I were some contagious virus. The dean's face had turned the color of pig liver. He pointed at me, trembling with anger. Chin Yu, you are a disgrace to our school. The square-faced officer's brow furrowed tightly. He stared at me, a hint of suspicion and coldness creeping into his eyes. Chin Yu, is what she said true? I didn't answer immediately. I was waiting for everyone's emotions to ferment to their peak, for all the malice to pour out without reservation. I could feel Wang Hao's triumphant gaze, a sense of thrill from being in complete control. He thought this detail was enough to nail me to the pillar of shame for good. He was wrong. Just as everyone thought I would be unable to defend myself, a cold, mechanical voice sounded in my mind. Ding! Detecting that the host is suffering a severe reputational crisis. The truth system is now officially activated. Newbie mission issued. Clear your name and find the real culprit. Mission reward: 100 truth points. Unlock the absolute evidence function. It's finally here. I raised my head, met everyone's judgmental stares, and the corners of my mouth curled up again. Officer, what she said is false. False? The witness is right here, and you still want to argue? The dean was furious. Witness? I laughed. Her one-sided story counts as a witness? Then can I also say that last night, it was student Wang Hao who cornered student Su Yao in the alley and forced her to come and frame me tomorrow? The moment I finished, Wang Hao, like a cat whose tail had been stepped on, instantly bristled. Chinyu, you're spouting nonsense. What does it have to do with me? His over-the-top reaction only made him look more like he was trying to cover something up. The square-faced policeman's gaze swept between me and Wang Hao, clearly sensing that something was wrong. He said in a low voice, "Empty words are no proof. Student Chinyu, since you claim she is slandering you, do you have any evidence?" Of course I do. I stood up, and under everyone's astonished gaze, walked to the multimedia computer on the podium. Teacher, I need to borrow the projector. The history teacher, still reeling from the shock, nodded subconsciously. I connected my phone to the computer with a data cable. As I did this, my heart was perfectly calm. This so-called truth system was the cheat system I was bound to after transmigrating to this world. It had only one function: to record everything that happened around me and allow it to be replayed from anyone's perspective, creating video evidence that absolutely could not be tampered with. But it had one activation condition. I had to suffer a public crisis severe enough to cause social death. For this, I had waited 3 years. Today, Su Yao and Wang Hao had personally delivered this grand gift to me. I opened a video file and clicked to project it in full screen. On the screen, light and shadow flickered, and an image appeared. The time, 9 o'clock last night. The location, the very school back alley that Su Yao had mentioned. The picture was as clear as if filmed with a professional camera, and even the sound was crystal clear. 2 people appeared in the video. One was Su Yao, and the other was, to everyone's shock, Wang Hao. Wang Hao, I can't do it. In the video, Su Yao's voice was filled with fear and pleading. Chinyu has never offended me. I can't harm him like this. Wang Hao sneered, fiddling with a phone in his hand. On its screen was an obscene photo. Can't do it? Su Yao, don't forget, your mother is in the hospital waiting for money to save her life. Also, these photos of you working at that nightshade club, if I were to accidentally post them on the school forum, what do you think would happen to your pure school belle persona? Su Yao's body began to tremble violently, her face as white as a sheet. Wang Hao pressed closer, a vicious smile on his face. Don't worry, as long as you do as I say and ruin his reputation, not only will I cover your mother's surgery fees, but I'll also delete all these photos. It's simple. Tomorrow, you go to his class and make a scene. Say he's a pervert, that he licked your feet. That accusation is disgusting and sensational enough. I guarantee he'll never be able to recover. But why Chinyu? There is no why. Wang Hao interrupted her impatiently. I've disliked him for a long time. Why does a poor bastard like him get to beat me in every exam? Why does Teacher Lin praise him every day? I'm going to let him know what happens when you cross me. Wang Hao. The video ended there. The classroom fell deathly silent. You could hear a pin drop. Everyone stared, dumbfounded, at the screen, then slowly, as if in slow motion, turned their gazes toward Wang Hao by the door and Su Yao, who had crumpled to the floor. The disdain, anger, and disgust in those gazes that had previously been directed at me were now reflected back onto the two of them, intact and even amplified. Snap! It was the sound of the square-faced policeman closing his notebook. The look he gave Wang Hao and Su Yao was as if he were looking at 2 pieces of trash. Wang Hao, Su Yao, is there anything you'd like to say now? In an instant, all the color drained from Wang Hao's face. Sweat trickled down from his temples like a stream. His lips moved, but he couldn't utter a single word. The smugness and arrogance in his eyes had long been replaced by boundless fear. He couldn't understand. Why? How could a secret conversation that took place in a back alley last night have been turned into a video and played in public? This wasn't scientifically possible. Su Yao, on the other hand, had completely broken down. She sat slumped on the floor, her hands covering her face, letting out desperate sobs. She knew she was finished. Not only had her school belle persona completely collapsed, but she would also have to face a police investigation and disciplinary action from the school. The Dean of Discipline's expression was the most spectacular of all, like an overturned paint palette, turning green, then white, then red. He looked at me, then at Wang Hao, his mouth opening and closing several times, but he could no longer bring himself to say the words "a disgrace to the school." The look he gave me was filled with astonishment and a trace of fear, as if he were looking at a monster. "Officer, the truth is now clear," I spoke calmly, breaking the suffocating silence. Under the coercion and instruction of student Wang Hao, student Su Yao publicly slandered me. This isn't just slander. It also involves blackmail and threats. I demand that they both be severely punished according to the law. My voice wasn't loud, but every word hammered down on Wang Hao and Su Yao's hearts like a sledgehammer. "No, it's not like that. Officer, I was forced." Su Yao snapped her head up as if grasping at a final straw, pointing a shaking finger at Wang Hao as she screamed. "It was all him. He forced me to do it. My mom is really sick. I had no other choice." A shiver went down Wang Hao's spine as he, too, snapped to his senses. He immediately roared back, "You're lying. You were the one who was greedy for money. You came to me and said you could help me take down Xinyu. The video is fake. Xinyu photoshopped it. He's trying to frame me." Even at this point, he was still putting up a final, pointless struggle. The square-faced officer let out a cold laugh and gave the younger officer beside him a look. The young officer immediately stepped forward and restrained Wang Hao and Su Yao, one on each side. "Fake. We'll have professional technicians analyze it," the square-faced officer said, walking up to Wang Hao and looking down at him. "Furthermore, we will investigate your classmate Su Yao's mother's medical records, as well as the Nightfall Club she mentioned. Classmate Wang Hao, if blackmail and extortion were involved, you might be facing more than just a chat in the dean's office. You and your parents should get ready to call a lawyer." Hearing the word lawyer, Wang Hao's last line of mental defense crumbled. His legs went weak, and he nearly fell to his knees, babbling incoherently. "My dad is Wang Tianhua. You can't arrest me. My dad is Wang Tianhua." The square-faced officer raised an eyebrow. "The real estate guy? Good. We'll invite him down to the station as well, to ask him how he usually raises his son." With that, he ignored the two broken-down students and turned to me, his tone softening considerably. "Classmate Xinyu, you've been wronged in this incident. Your calmness and decisiveness are very commendable. Please provide us with a copy of this video evidence. It will be a key piece of evidence." Of course, I nodded, unplugging the data cable and handing him my phone. The police led away the wailing Su Yao and the utterly devastated Wang Hao. The corridor outside the classroom was already packed with students from other classes who had come to see the commotion. They pointed at Wang Hao and Su Yao as they were being escorted away, their chatter rising like a tide. "Oh my God, so it was Wang Hao's scheme all along. How vicious. That Su Yao is no saint either, doing anything for money. But the most impressive one has to be Xinyu, right? He didn't say a word and just dropped the video to counterattack. I give that move a perfect score." Inside the classroom, the students who had previously been looking at me with contempt now lowered their heads, daring not to meet my gaze. Their faces were filled with embarrassment and a trace of fear. They were glad they hadn't said anything worse, or they might be the ones with swollen faces right now. Zhang Wei shuffled over, his face a mixture of admiration and guilt. "Bro, just now. I'm sorry, I really thought." "It's fine." I patted his shoulder. If it were me, I would have been suspicious too. I could understand them. Faced with the school beauty's pitiful tears and an explosive accusation like pervert, anyone's first reaction would be to believe the weaker party and condemn the aggressor. In this world, there are far more spectators swayed by emotion than wise people willing to seek the truth. And I just happen to have the ability to make the truth irrefutable. Classmate Xinyu, the dean of discipline, came over, wringing his hands, a smile on his face that was uglier than a crying expression. "Look, this matter. The impact isn't great. How about, after the police have their results, the school will handle it internally low-key?" He was afraid of the situation escalating and damaging the school's reputation. After all, school bullying and extortion. Neither sounded good if word got out, especially when the main perpetrator was the son of the well-known entrepreneur, Wang Tianhua. I looked at him, my gaze calm. Dean, I remember the school rules stating, create a fair and just campus environment and severely punish all acts of bullying and illegal behavior. If even this can be handled low-key, then aren't the school rules just a piece of scrap paper? The dean's smile froze on his face. My gaze swept across the entire class, finally landing on the school motto displayed on the podium. Seek truth, uphold virtue. I just want the truth, and I hope the school can uphold its virtue. After saying that, I didn't look at him again and returned to my seat. I knew this wasn't over. Behind Wang Hao was Wang Tianhua, a businessman with considerable influence in the local area. He wouldn't just stand by and watch his son get into trouble. The real battle was only just beginning. In my mind, the system's voice sounded again. Beginner mission complete. Reward issued, 100 truth points. System function unlocked. Absolute evidence. The host may expend points to generate absolute evidence. Video, audio, files, biological evidence, etc. in any form related to a specified event. A smirk, unnoticed by anyone, touched the corners of my lips. Wang Tianhua, I'd like to see just how much your power is worth in the face of absolute evidence. The situation escalated faster than I had imagined. That afternoon, Wang Hao and Su Yao were taken home by their respective parents to await further police investigation. As for me, I was invited to the principal's office. The principal was a man approaching 60 with graying hair. He wore a pair of gold-rimmed glasses and had a scholarly and gentle appearance. He personally poured me a cup of tea, his attitude amicable. Student Shinyu, the school is now aware of what happened today. You have been wronged. On behalf of the school administration, I apologize to you. I picked up the teacup but didn't drink. I simply looked at him calmly. Principal, I accept your apology. But what I want to know more is how the school plans to handle this matter. The principal sighed, the wrinkles on his face deepening. The school's stance is clear. We will absolutely not tolerate this. Once the police investigation concludes, we will immediately follow school regulations and issue the most severe punishment to students Wang Hao and Su Yao, a major demerit, a school-wide public criticism, or even expulsion. He spoke with conviction, but I detected a hint of hesitation. Sure enough, his tone shifted. However, Student Shinyu, you have to understand, Wang Hao's father, Mr. Wang Tianhua, is a renowned entrepreneur in our city and has been a director on our school board for many years. He donated an entire laboratory building to the school. I understood. He was here to be a mediator. So, I interrupted him. So his son can do whatever he wants at school, bully classmates at will. And the school has to give him a lighter punishment out of respect for his father? That's not what I mean. The principal waved his hands hastily, looking a bit awkward. What I mean is, could there be a more amicable solution? For example, we could have student Wang Hao publicly apologize to you in front of the entire school and offer financial compensation. This way, your rights are protected, and it also gives the Wang family some face. It's better to resolve animosity than to create it. What do you think? Principal, I set down the teacup, my voice turning cold. If I didn't have that video today, who would be the one being scorned, gossiped about, and possibly even forced to withdraw from school right now? The principal was at a loss for words. If I were a student with a weaker personality, would I have to carry the reputation of a pervert after today, spending my high school years in depression and despair, and possibly have my entire life ruined? Sweat started to bead on the principal's forehead. You're talking to me now about amicable solutions and face. Then who will give me an amicable solution? Who will give face to my ruined reputation? My voice grew heavier with each sentence, every word a nail hammering into the old principal's ears. He opened his mouth, but couldn't utter a single word. Just then, there was a knock on the office door. A middle-aged man in a suit and tie, wearing gold-rimmed glasses and looking quite refined, walked in. Behind him followed Wang Hao, a look of indignation on his face. The middle-aged man walked straight up to me, a formulaic smile on his face, and extended a hand. You must be Student Shinyu, right? Hello, I am Wang Hao's father, Wang Tianhua. I remained seated, neither moving nor shaking his hand. Wang Tianhua's hand paused in midair for a moment. Unfazed, he smoothly retracted it. He pulled over a chair and sat down across from me, crossing his legs. Student Xinyu, my son was foolish and caused you trouble. I have already taught him a harsh lesson. He said it nonchalantly, as if this were merely a trivial matter. He took a bank card from his briefcase and gently pushed it across the table toward me. There's 200,000 in here. Consider it a small gesture from our Wang family, compensation for your emotional distress. Additionally, I will cover all of Su Yao's mother's surgery fees. Let's let the matter end here. What do you think? His tone wasn't one of negotiation, but rather of charity and notice. Behind him, Wang Hao looked at the card, then at me, his eyes filled with contempt and provocation. It was as if he were saying, "See that? This is the power of money. What do you, a poor student, have to fight me with?" The principal, standing to the side, looked at me nervously, repeatedly giving me signals with his eyes, suggesting I take the offer and quit while I was ahead. 200,000 was indeed no small sum for an ordinary family. Before, I might have actually been tempted, but now I smiled. President Wang, what a grand gesture. Wang Tianhua thought I had agreed, and the smile on his face deepened. Young people should be reasonable. This money is enough for your 4 years of college tuition and living expenses. President Wang, I picked up the bank card, twirling it between my fingertips. Do you think my reputation is only worth 200,000? Wang Tianhua's brow furrowed slightly. Then what do you mean? My meaning is simple. I stood up, walked over to him, and gently slipped the bank card into the breast pocket of his suit jacket. First, a public apology. Wang Hao must, at an assembly of all the school's teachers and students, explain word for word the entire process of how he planned and threatened Su Yao to slander me. I want everyone to know the truth. Second, legal punishment. Slander, extortion. He should be sentenced as the law dictates. I will not accept any form of out-of-court settlement. Third, and most importantly, I looked directly into Wang Tianhua's eyes and said, word by word, I want you, Mr. Wang Tianhua, in your capacity as a director of Qingting High School's board, to publicly apologize to me and to all students who may have suffered similar bullying. It is your indulgence and failure as a parent that has raised such a son. As my words fell, the entire office fell deathly silent. The principal's face was ashen. Wang Hao's eyes were wide as saucers, as if he couldn't believe his ears. The smile on Wang Tianhua's face finally vanished completely. He stared at me, his gaze so dark it could drip water. An oppressive aura, born from long being in a position of power, radiated from him. Young man, you can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want. Do you have any idea who you're talking to? His voice was laced with an obvious threat. Of course I know. I met his gaze without fear. I'm speaking to a man who tries to use money and power to cover up his crimes and trample on justice. Good, very good. Wang Tianhua laughed in fury. He stood up and straightened his suit. It seems Student Chun Yu has no intention of accepting my goodwill. In that case, I'll see you in court. But let me give you a piece of advice. In this world, being right isn't enough to get you by. He paused, leaned close to my ear, and said in a voice only the two of us could hear, I'll make you understand that sometimes evidence can also disappear. With that, he led Wang Hao out of the principal's office without a backward glance. Watching his departing back, my gaze turned colder than ever before. Evidence can disappear? Wang Tianhua, you underestimate me, and you underestimate this era. I issued a command to the system in my mind. System, consume 100 points. I want absolute evidence of all of Wang Tianhua's commercial crimes over the years, including but not limited to tax evasion, bribery, government business collusion, and a complete audio and video recording of the threats he just made to me in this office. Command received. Points successfully deducted. Absolute evidence generating. Generation complete. Saved to system space. Available for retrieval at any time. I picked up the cup of completely cold tea from the table and drained it in one gulp. Wang Tianhua, if you like to play games, then I'll play a big one with you. I'd like to see if you can maintain your current composure when your business empire is crumbling in my hands. Wang Tianhua's influence was indeed greater than I had imagined. The next day, I received a call from the police station informing me that regarding the case of Wang Hao and Su Yao, the police had decided not to file it. The reason given was circumstances are remarkably minor and do not constitute a crime, and they recommended we settle it ourselves or resolve it through a civil lawsuit. The result was absurdly laughable. Extortion, public slander, with both witnesses and physical evidence, and in their mouths, it became remarkably minor circumstances. I called the square-faced police officer who had responded to the initial call, but his phone was constantly unreachable. Obviously, he had either been transferred or put under a gag order. At the same time, the school's attitude also did a 180-degree turn. The dean of students found me and, with a stern face, informed me that after a school committee decision, the punishment for Wang Hao and Su Yao was a demerit and a profound self-criticism. As for the school-wide public apology I had demanded, it was naturally off the table. And then, strange rumors began to circulate on campus. I heard that video was edited. Chun Yu's family has a grudge against the Wang family, so he's intentionally trying to frame Wang Hao. Exactly, it takes two to tango. Su Yao is so beautiful. Chun Yu must have harassed her too. He didn't even want the 200,000. This person's heart is too black. He just wants to destroy someone completely. This was the epitome of twisting black and white. The classmates who had once shown me sympathy and support now looked at me with complicated and distant eyes. Zhang Wei was so angry he was cursing in the dorm. Are these people all fence-sitters? The Wang family is really something else. Their ability to twist black and white is top-notch. I, however, was unusually calm. All of this was within my expectations. If power could be so easily defeated by the truth, it wouldn't be called power. Wang Tianhua was demonstrating his power to me in the way he knew best. In this city, he could easily mobilize resources, suppress public opinion, and let the truth sink to the bottom of the sea. He wanted to make me feel powerless, to feel despair, and ultimately to bow my head and admit defeat. Unfortunately, he had chosen the wrong opponent. That night, I went to the school's computer lab alone. Using the near-godlike control over electronic devices granted to me by the system, I easily bypassed the school's firewall and obtained the highest level of administrative access. The first thing I had to do was to release the absolute evidence I held to make it public. But I wouldn't act like a reckless youth and just post it directly online. That would only result in it being scrubbed clean by Wang Tianhua's PR team within minutes, and I might even be counter-accused of maliciously spreading rumors. I had to use a smarter, more explosive method. I logged into the back end of the largest local news portal, Binsheng Online. Then, through this back end, I hacked into the local television station's emergency broadcast system. After all this was done, I pulled out several key pieces of evidence from my system space. The first was the complete, high-definition video of Wang Hao threatening Su Yao in the back alley, longer and with more detail than the one I had shown in the classroom. The second was the full audio recording and multi-angle surveillance video of Wang Tianhua trying to buy me off with 200,000 yuan in the principal's office, while also threatening me in a low voice. The video and audio quality were so clear, it was as if you were there. The third, and most damning, piece of evidence. It was an encrypted file package containing copies of all the tax evasion account books, records of bribes to officials, and internal documents on illegal operations of several key real estate projects from Wang Tianhua's Tianhua Group over the past 5 years. Each document was enough to ensure his eternal damnation. I set up a timed release program. The time was set for the primetime news slot at 8 o'clock tomorrow night. At that time, all viewers in Binsheng watching the television news and all netizens browsing the Binsheng online website would witness an unprecedented great drama. Their television screens and web pages would be forcibly taken over by my evidence. It could not be closed, could not be redirected, not until all the videos and files had finished playing. I gave his plan a name. It was called the Judgment Moment. After finishing all this, I deleted all traces of my operations and left the computer lab as if nothing had happened. Back in the dorm, Zhang Wei was scrolling through his phone with a worried frown. "Brother you, look at the school forum. Those bastards are making up stories about you again. I'm so pissed." I leaned over to take a look. A newly registered anonymous account had posted a long article titled, a rational analysis of the Chunyu incident, the performance of an exquisite egoist. In the article, I was portrayed as a scheming and insidious villain who, in order to retaliate against a classmate, did not hesitate to fabricate evidence and manipulate public opinion. It depicted Wang Hao and Su Yao as ignorant children, victims who had made a mistake in a moment of impulse. It was written with great emotion and was highly inflammatory. There were already hundreds of comments below it, most of them supporting the original poster. The OP is right. Chunyu is too scary. He won't forgive when he should. Exactly, he could have just taken the 200,000 and been done with it. But he had to ruin someone's life. The more I think about it, the scarier it is. This kind of person will be even worse when he enters society. Zhang Wei's hands were trembling with anger. This must be the work of paid posters hired by Wang Hao's family. So shameless. I smiled, took his phone, and under that post, I replied with just one sentence. Let the bullets fly for a while longer. Then, I turned off my phone, lay down on my bed, and closed my eyes. Wang Tianhua, Wang Hao, enjoy your final 24 hours of revelry to the fullest. After tomorrow, this world, for you, will never be the same again. The next day, the atmosphere throughout the school felt very strange. Wang Hao appeared on campus, swaggering, surrounded by a group of his cronies. When he saw me, he had the look of a victor on his face and even made a throat-slitting gesture at me. Su Yao had also come to school. Although she looked much more haggard, at least she hadn't been expelled. She avoided me from a distance, her eyes filled with resentment and fear, as if I were the one who had harmed her. The teachers turned a blind eye to me, and the students kept their distance. I became an isolated island on campus. But I didn't care in the least. I attended classes, took notes, and did my exercises calmly, as if everything happening outside had nothing to do with me. This extraordinary composure, in the eyes of others, looked more like the helpless resignation of someone who had given up. Wang Hao's followers were laughing and talking loudly in the hallway. How is the man? The police, the evidence. It's all nothing in front of his uncle. That Xinyu is a joke now. Trying to fight Hao? He overestimated himself. Wang Hao reveled in the flattery, smiling smugly, his voice just loud enough to carry into our classroom. Some people just don't know what's good for them. My dad had to pull a few strings to teach him how the world works. Regrets it now? Too late. In the classroom, a few students cast sympathetic glances my way, but most were gloating. They felt that this drama of a poor student challenging a rich kid had already ended with a total victory for the rich kid. I didn't even lift my head, just solve the last complex physics problem on my scratch paper. Time ticked by, second by second. Finally, the clock hand pointed to 8 o'clock in the evening. In Binhai City, countless families, countless people watching TV or browsing the web, were about to witness history. Zhang Wei was in his dorm, watching the local news. The anchor was reporting on urban greening with perfect diction. Suddenly, the screen went black. What the hell? Is the TV broken? Zhang Wei slapped the monitor. The next second, the screen lit up again. But it was no longer the news studio. It was a video. The back alley of the school, dimly lit. Wang Hao's vicious face filled the entire screen. Every threatening word he said to Su Yao was broadcast clearly into thousands of homes through the television speakers. As long as you do what I say, ruin his reputation. Zhang Wei's mouth instantly formed an O. At the same time, every television channel being broadcast in Binhai, whether it was a drama, a variety show, or a sports match, was forcibly interrupted by this video. The homepage of Binhai Online also became a live stream of the video. The computer screens of countless netizens were taken over by this sudden footage. The entire city seemed to have been put on pause. Everyone stared, dumbfounded, at this blockbuster. After the video finished, the screen went black again. Then, a second scene appeared, the principal's office. Wang Tianhua's arrogant face and every word he said were clearly recorded. There's 200,000 in here. I'll make you understand that sometimes evidence can also disappear. If the first video angered the public, the second one completely ignited everyone's fury. The arrogance of power, the contempt for the law, were laid bare at that moment. But it wasn't over. The video ended, and a large, continuously rotating encrypted file icon appeared on the screen. Below the icon was a line of striking red text. a complete collection of criminal evidence against Wang Tianhua, chairman of Tianhua Group. Immediately, internal documents bearing the Tianhua Group watermark began to scroll across the screen. Fraudulent financial statements, staggering amounts of tax evasion, lists of bribed officials and transfer records, bloody agreements for land seizure. Every page, every word, was like a bombshell blasting everyone's nerves. The entire city of Binhai erupted. Countless people picked up their phones and began frantically making calls, posting on their social feeds, and sending out microblogs. Holy crap, this is huge. Wang Tianhua, Binhai's richest man, is finished. A hacker vigilante? What kind of god-tier move is this? Shoving the evidence right in the entire city's face. Investigate. They must investigate thoroughly. Who knows how many people are implicated in this? The hotlines for the Municipal Commission for Discipline Inspection, the Municipal Taxation Bureau, and the Municipal Public Security Bureau were overwhelmed with calls within minutes. Online, terms like Wang Tianhua, Tianhua Group, school bullying, and hacker justice shot to the top of the trending list like rockets, followed by a bright red explosive tag. At that moment, in a luxurious villa in the city center, Wang Tianhua was clinking glasses with several well-dressed men. His phone was ringing off the hook, but he just impatiently silenced it. Mr. Wang, congratulations. I heard the matter with your son has been perfectly resolved. A pot-bellied man toasted him obsequiously. Wang Tianhua smiled smugly. A trivial matter, a mere brat. Can he overturn the heavens? The words had barely left his lips when his secretary stumbled in, his face ashen. Mr. Wang, something terrible has happened. Quick, look at the TV. Look at your phone. Frowning, Wang Tianhua picked up the remote and turned on the enormous LCD television in the living room. On the screen, his company's top-secret financial records were scrolling by. The smile on his face froze instantly. The wine glass slipped from his trembling hand, shattering on the floor. He knew then that the heavens had truly been overturned. Meanwhile, in a school dormitory, Zhang Wei was already incoherent with excitement. He threw his arms around me, jumping and shouting. Brother you, did you see that? It was you. It had to be you. That was f***ing awesome. So damn satisfying. I smiled, wriggled out of his embrace, and sat back down at my desk. I opened my phone and clicked on the campus forum thread that had long since been buried. Beneath my comment, let the bullets fly a little longer, there were now thousands of new replies. Holy SHD, a divine prophecy. So the master was here all along. The bullets have flown. They blew the top of the Wang family's head clean off. I hereby declare Chinyu my one and only brother. If anyone dares to say a bad word about him from now on, I'll be the first to shut them down. I apologize for my previous comments. I am Sora, Chen Igreku. I'm a f***ing idiot. In an instant, public opinion had reversed completely. I watched the scrolling apologies and words of worship on the screen, my expression betraying no emotion. This was never what I wanted. I closed the forum and dialed a number. It was the number of the square-faced police officer from before. This time, the call went through. His excited and conflicted voice came from the other end. Chunyu, that was all you're doing. Officer, I'm just an ordinary high school senior. I don't know anything, I said flatly. I just wanted to tell you that the evidence is back now, and there's more of it than before. I hope you can give me, and all the citizens of Binhai City, the justice we deserve. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. Then came a firm, powerful reply. I promise. The aftermath of the moment of judgment was more terrifying than the most violent Category 12 typhoon. The next morning, Tianhua Group's stock plummeted at the opening bell, wiping out countless investors. The group's entrance was besieged by furious investors and employees demanding back pay. Wang Tianhua and the parasites within his business empire were taken away for investigation by the Commission for Discipline Inspection and the Economic Crime Investigation Department, one after another. In the face of absolute evidence, that vast network of connections was as fragile as a spider's web, easily torn to shreds. Qingting High School was also caught in a massive whirlwind of public opinion. The principal and the head of student affairs were immediately suspended and investigated by higher authorities for their role in covering up and enabling the wrongdoing. The entire education system of Binhai City experienced an unprecedented earthquake. And I, Chunyu, the one who had first detonated the incident, became the most mysterious figure at the center of the storm. Everyone knew I cleared my name, but no one could prove that I was behind the earth-shattering hacker's judgment. I continued to go to school and go home on time every day. Only, everything around me had changed. Walking on campus, no one dared to look at me with strange eyes anymore. In their place were awe, worship, and a hint of fear. They looked at me as if I were a god. Wang Hao never appeared at school again. I heard that he had been taken into criminal custody by the police for his involvement in multiple cases of school bullying and extortion. As he was already 18, what awaited him was the severe punishment of the law. His life as a rich second-generation kid had come to an abrupt end. Su Yao voluntarily dropped out of school. Her mother's surgery fees were ultimately covered by a charitable foundation. On the day she left, she sent me a long text message. Besides repentance and apologies, there was one line. Chunyu, I know I got what I deserved. But you truly made me feel scared. You were like a god standing in the clouds, watching indifferently as we ants struggle in the mud. And then with a flick of your finger, you decide our fates. I hope you never become the kind of person you overthrew. After reading it, I silently deleted the message. A god? I am not a god. I am just a person with the ability to defend myself and fairness. If defending fairness requires thunderous methods, then I don't mind becoming the thunder. After school that day, I saw an unexpected person at the school gate. The square-faced police officer. He had been reinstated and looked refreshed and full of spirit. He wasn't in uniform, but in plain clothes, as if he had been waiting specifically for me. Care to talk? He pointed to a coffee shop not far away. I nodded. In the coffee shop, he ordered me a glass of juice. The case of Wang Tianhua has been basically cleared up. The amount involved is as high as several billion, and more than 30 officials have been implicated. It can be said that you, alone, have taken down the largest corruption group in Bincheng in the last 10 years. He looked at me with a complicated expression in his eyes. I just provided what I should have provided, I just said calmly. The evidence you provided, our technical department analyzed it for a long time. He lowered his voice. We couldn't find any source, no trace of any hacking. It's like it appeared out of thin air. Student Chinyu, can you tell me, how on earth did you do it? I took a sip of juice and smiled. Officer, there are many things in this world that science cannot explain. Perhaps you can understand it as the will of heaven. The will of heaven. He was stunned for a moment. Then he also smiled, a smile of relief. What a will of heaven. To be honest, I've been a criminal police officer for 20 years, and this is the first time I've felt so gratified. You've done something that many of us wanted to do, but couldn't. He stood up and solemnly gave me a salute. On behalf of the people who were oppressed by Wang Tianhua, thank you. I accepted his salute calmly. This is the glory you deserve. I just returned it to you. Walking out of the coffee shop, the afterglow of the setting sun shone on my body, warm. The haze that had lasted for nearly a week finally dissipated. My high school life also finally returned to the peace it should have. The college entrance examination, mock exams, doing practice problems, striving. Everything was no different from that of an ordinary student. It's just that, in my desk, there would occasionally be some anonymous snacks and milk tea. My homework would always be quietly collected for me by someone. No one dared to provoke me anymore, because everyone knew that Chunyu of Class 7 was not to be messed with easily. He usually looked harmless, but once his bottom line was touched, he would let you know what a real judgment was. If you like it, please give a thumbs up. If it gets over 100 likes, I will continue to write it as a long novel. Bonus scene. On the night the college entrance examination ended, the whole class was partying wildly in a KTV. I sat alone in a corner, watching them cry and laugh. In my mind, that cold, mechanical voice, after a long time, sounded again. Ultimate mission, righting the wrongs completed. Mission evaluation, perfect. With the body of a mortal, you have done the work of a god, reshaping the order of Bincheng. But the real test has just begun. Now distributing the ultimate reward, please make your choice, host. Option A, the mercy of God. You will gain the ability to see through people's hearts, to feel all the suffering and sorrow in the world. You will become more empathetic and every decision you make will be full of the brilliance of humanity. If you choose this option, Su Yao will be cleared of all negative memories and given a chance to start her life over. Option B, the majesty of God. You will gain an absolutely rational mind, no longer bound by any emotions. Every decision you make will be the optimal solution for maximizing benefits. You will become the most perfect master of order. If you choose this option, the sentences of Wang Tianhua and Wang Hao will be automatically doubled, and they will be ineligible for parole for life. My gaze passed through the noisy crowd in front of me, as if I saw Su Yao in some small city, starting to work again, struggling for a living, and as if I saw the Wang father and son behind iron bars, their eyes full of venom, cursing me day and night. The system's voice echoed in my mind. Please choose. Become a merciful saint or a ruthless king. I raised the wine glass in front of me and drained it in one gulp. Then, in my heart, I made my choice. I choose